Welcome, World Dwellers. My name is Nacho Bidness, and this is episode 34 of my Fallout 4 No Loot Challenge Run. The rules on Xbox here are fairly simple. I am not allowed to use the A button to take anything out of the world or out of a container and put it into my inventory. Notable exceptions are crops from my own settlements. We're playing on survival mode, and my character needs something to eat, and she also needs something to barter with in order to play the game. We need bullets, we need guns, and we need junk. If you like this kind of crazy challenge run, please do hit the like button. I know everyone says it, but it is true. It does help the channel grow. And I'd like to see myself at least hit 500 subscribers. If you didn't like, please tell me why in a comment, because a dislike without context means that I don't know what I should be working on to make better content for you. And if you want to see more, well, you know what to do. You should subscribe and ring the notification bell so that when new episodes come out on Sundays, you can see them. Thank you so much for your consideration. So I am actually narrating this after the fact because I am a dummy and I forgot to plug my microphone in. And funny thing about when I record these videos, it's not like I record for an hour and edit for an hour and put it online, right? Like, I will record this opening section on something like Monday, and by the end of the week, maybe have enough footage together to put up a video. And I frankly don't remember what it was that I was talking about during this intro sequence. I will say that last episode, we did manage to defeat the Courser, and we got the information on the Courser chip analyzed, and so now we are back and speaking with Virgil again. Made the very long trek again to get down here to his cave in the glowing sea. And I tell you what, I really wish that we could unlock the Brotherhood, but that would require looting. If I had the Brotherhood unlocked, I could have vertebrate signal grenades, and I could fly down here in comfort and speed instead of walking here over and over again in my big clanky power armor. Nevertheless, we have arrived and we have a conversation to have with Virgil. Now, my capture software will automatically reduce game sound and when I am speaking, and bring that game sound back up when I'm not, and I don't have it available to me be narrating after the fact. So I will do the best I can to simply talk over this segment. We've just been asked how we got our Courser chip information, and Mary's going to be a little bit cagey. She doesn't really know that much about the railroad, but she also doesn't feel like she needs to be spreading their information around. After all, they seem to be awfully scared and awfully secretive. Virgil, on the other hand, has decided that it is time for him to make some schematics, even though his fine motor skills are really terrible, and it's awful for a super mutant to try and draw anything. But he also is saying that we're going to have to build a very complex device, and we're going to need some help from people outside the Commonwealth, or sorry, from all over the Commonwealth. And has informed us that classical music is the key to making it all work. So, he also says that he is a part of bioscience, not engineering or advanced systems, and so he's not sure if this is going to work, and I think that that is just kind of strange, right? Like, if I knew a biochemist, I wouldn't ask him to make the drawings to build a washing machine, let alone, something as complicated as a teleportation device. Sure it's just not his area of expertise. I don't really see how Virgil could ever be expected to really realistically do this. But then again, we're talking to a giant green super mutant. So, now that we have been told that yes, this is going to work. He's asking us for reassurance that it can be built, and yeah, Mary is still a little skeptical and asking if this will actually work. Virgil assures her that it will be if he is built correctly, and to that end, Mary is probably going to need some help. She's done some pretty amazing things, but this is a little over the top. So Virgil begs her to get the serum. That's really too bad for him because Mary is not going to be able to pick that up. It's against the rules, and we can't get companions in the Institute, and it's probably not going to be a requirement to advance the main quest, so I'm afraid Virgil is probably going to stay a mutant, and I'm not sure that I will ever come down here and speak to him again. I sure as heck don't want to make that walk again. But maybe we'll come back and let him know that we were not able to fulfill his request. In the meantime, we have another long walk back to Hangman's Alley and wherever else we may go, which in fact we have three options. We could talk to the Railroad, the Minutemen, or the Brotherhood, and I elected to go talk to the Brotherhood first, hoping that maybe, just maybe, this would finally be what breaks the logjam and allows us access to the Pridwin. So we are directed to go speak with Paladin Dance, and I was very excited. I thought that this was it, that finally Paladin Dance was going to come out of the basement. So I couldn't wait to get there. But before we left, one last thing to do is take our perks, because we have a couple of levels that we have gained, and that means that we're going to be able to take another rank of luck and the first rank of critical banker. Great news, that is a good perk, and we're probably going to move along to trying to get Grim Reaper Sprint completely filled out and next. Still, we have a long walk ahead of us, and so that's what we're going to go do and see about seeing if Dance is going to finally come out of the basement of ArcJet Systems. This section of the video is also going to have to be narrated after the fact because I still did not get my microphone plugged in to capture audio during the original run. Still, I was very excited to be here because, after all, we left Paladin Dance in the basement literal months ago in the real world and literal months ago in the game. It's a wonder the man has not starved to death down there. In fact, given that later in the episode we find out that synths don't have to eat, they just do it to look more human, I don't know. Maybe Paladin Dance is not what he appears. At any rate, when we come in and attempt to talk to him,
excuse me,
it's
Paladin Dance.
still the same voice lines. He doesn't have anything new to say. He still is saying the same things that he was before, and that is a bitter disappointment because there are vendors on the Pridwin that I would like to have access to. It's not just the vertibird smoke grenades that I am locked away from and the convenience that those can provide. There are some pieces of legendary gear that would be available either through questing, potentially, assuming there wasn't any looting, or just straight up through buying them from the quartermaster. But that is not to be, so let's go try the railroad and see if they're any better. Well, let's see if Desdemona is going to be any more helpful when it comes to building the molecular relay, and also maybe letting us talk to Pam and, you know, try and unlock that ballistic weave. So, you want to see Virgil's schematics?
A scientist named Virgil said they could get me inside the Institute.
Even if one of my own agents told me that, I'd be skeptical. And from a stranger? Listen, you're obviously talented. I believe you'd be a great asset to our organization. So, prove it. Run the op with Deacon. If everything checks out, then we can talk about this plan of yours.
Well, shoot. So she is just not interested unless we complete tradecraft, which I guess means that we are going to try and do this with the Minutemen. So who is it with the Minutemen that I need to talk to? I guess it's probably Preston, which means we got to go all the way back to Starlight Drive-In when we were just over at ArcJet. Sigh, I will make that run and not make you sit through it, even though I have to, and see you at Starlight. Oh, Preston Gravy. Buddy, I really hope you're not going to tell me that I have to finish old guns before you help me build a molecular relay.
What do you need, General?
Well, I got these schematics here.
A scientist named Virgil said they could get me inside the Institute.
The Institute? Why in the world would you want to mess around with them?
Well, they stole my baby.
Damn. That's some bad business. Even for them. We'll give you whatever help we can. Don't worry about that. Now,
Oh, thank goodness.
Thing, what exactly does it do?
Well, it's teleportation.
Teleportation to get in and out. This machine can hijack their signal and send me instead.
Teleportation? For real? Wow. That would explain a lot about how the Institute manages to operate. If anyone can make heads or tails of those plans, it'd be Sturgis. I haven't found anything yet that he couldn't build or fix.
You know, I have to feel like teleportation would not be a word that would be in the vernacular anymore. Like, people probably aren't doing a lot of reading of science fiction and stuff after the apocalypse. Nevertheless, we have to go talk to Sturgis, and that also means that we are going to be seeing Mama Murphy again, because they're both in Sanctuary. So I have thought of one last way that we're going to try and break Mama Murphy. And if this doesn't work, well, we'll just have to see. So I am going to get some supplies together for that and see you in Sanctuary, where we will talk to Sturgis as well. Hello, Sturgis. So, interesting thing about Sturgis here is that he claimed that he is not a tech guy when we first met him in the Museum of Freedom. And yet, we are about to ask him to build the most advanced piece of technology the Wasteland has ever seen. And I kind of wonder how to reconcile that. And I think, in my mind, it is that Sturgis is a talented technician. I am an engineer by trade, and for all of my knowledge of design and science and calculus and everything that I had to learn in school, and it all boils down to the drawings that I make. And if I can't find somebody who can actually follow those plans and build the things, then those drawings are only so much worthless paper. And so I have a definite appreciation for the talented techs that I work with. And I feel like this is the same sort of thing that we've got going on here, where Sturgis might not be able to design a molecular relay, but if you give him some blueprints, by God, he can actually build it. So Sturgis, let's talk about... No, actually. It can't wait.
Preston
Let's talk
you
about
might
this
be
molecular
able to
relay.
figure out these plans for me.
Sure thing. Let's see what you've got.
Can you build this?
Wow. What a mess. Looks like, Encrypted RF transmissions. Okay, so that gets routed through... What the hell? Teleportation. This is some pretty crazy shit. You sure it's for real?
It's real.
It's real. I got it from an ex-Institute scientist.
Seriously? I didn't know you could be an ex-Institute anything and still be breathing. Anyway, the eggheads never think about the nuts and bolts of actually making something work. But, looks like it's all here. Yeah, I'm gonna need some time to study this thing. The handwriting's pretty hard to make out. But, you can get started on what he calls a stabilized reflector platform. It'll need some pretty high-grade metals, but it's basically not that different than the lining of a jet engine or something like that.
You got a parts list?
What I'll need to build this platform.
Yeah, sure. Here's a list of what you'll need for the first piece. I'm pretty sure we've got all that at Sanctuary, if you want to build it there. While you're working on that, I'll get busy figuring out how to actually build the rest of this thing. Keep in mind, I can already see this is gonna take a crazy amount of juice. Like if you had a spare nuclear reactor handy, we could probably use it. And it's going to be big. So find a nice open building site with lots of power available.
Interesting thing about the molecular relay is that you can build it pretty much anywhere. And it doesn't really have to be associated with whatever faction. Certainly that becomes very true and very apparent when you are working with the Railroad. I mean, after all, when you work with the Brotherhood, you're kind of led into building the relay at the airport. And when you're working with the Minutemen, you're kind of led into building the relay here in Sanctuary. But like I said, we can build it anywhere, and since I'm probably going to have to be shuttling some supplies around and stuff, I think that we might want to try and go for something a little bit more centrally located. So here's another thing that a lot of people don't realize. You can move Sturgis, you can move Preston, and both of the Long, Marcy Long and Finn Long, to any settlement. So yeah, if you're tired of Marcy complaining when you're in Sanctuary, just move her to a settlement that you are not going to go to. As for Sturgis here, ooh, yeah, so I said centrally located, but Hangman's Alley is full, and I just don't think that I have the space there to build the molecular relay. Even though it kind of makes sense, you know, it is closest to the Institute. Then again, we're teleporting, so maybe physical location doesn't matter so much, or at least physical proximity. I think that we're going to try Covenant and try building the relay there. Never tried it there before. We'll see how it goes. And I have built 3 relays that I am very proud of, that way more involved than the actual game requires, but it is our one chance where settlement building actually figures into the gameplay in a prominent way. So I went overboard with them. The first one was at the airport. The second one that I really liked was at Grey Garden. I think that one...
Got a sec?
Oh, hey, Nick. In a sec. The one that I liked the most was at Grey Garden. And that one was really cool. Like, I role-played that it was a railroad thing. It was a secret project. And like, we had hauled a barely working, kind of faulty reactor out of a vault and had kind of an ad hoc reactor room. Pretended that the settlement went into a brownout when the relay was activated, and a lot of other neat features like rain shutters that open and shut when the rainstorms would come in, and like I will leave a link to that video in the end card. The last one I built was for the Evolution of a Settlement challenge, and that one was also, I thought, pretty cool. Built that one with the Brotherhood. So, yeah, we're going to do this one with the Minutemen. We're going to do it in Covenant. And Nick, you keep chasing me, so what is it that you wanted to talk about?
You got a second now?
For you, always, man. I love your story.
I wouldn't normally bother you with this sort of thing, but, well, I know I can trust you at this point. For as long as I can remember, I've been getting these, flashes. Memories of places I've never been. Things I've never seen. Memories of Nicks. They're not bad, they're just this inescapable reminder that I'm not the person I think I am. That I'm not a person at all. I'm just a machine, pretending to be human.
And it's this that I think convinces Mary that synths are, if not human, at least sentient. Nick's worry about his whether or not he's a real person. I mean, if you're a machine pretending to be human, then you would not
You're more than pretending, Nick.
worry
Nice of you
about
to say, but
that
your
dichotomy.
kind don't usually have to deal with someone else's whole life trapped inside their skulls. Don't get me wrong. I know I'm in Nick's debt. These memories, they've kept me alive. Nick was a hell of a cop. A guy with good instincts and a good heart. I always counted myself lucky they didn't load me up with some ex-con, or whatever type might volunteer to let folks tinker with their gray matter. But it's thanks to Nick that I pass for human. Why I get to live cushy in Diamond City, and every other synth is shot on sight. I know I got it good, but my entire life I owe to Nick. Everything that makes me who I am. My judgment, my speech, hell, even my name. They're his. And I can't do a damn thing about it, because without them, I'm nothing. A shell. All I want is a life where I have something I can call my own.
But you have built your
You've
own
already
life.
built a life for yourself, Nick. You got the agency, a home, friends.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. You know, I'm just gonna need some time to think on this. I appreciate you hearing me out. You're a real good friend. Thanks.
Well,
There is a chunk of Nick Valentine history I've been hoping to put a bow on for a while now. I could use a hand if you're willing to take a crack at it.
Sure thing.
for you, Nick, anything.
This one's straight out of the archives. Once upon a time, in the land of Boston, there lived a king of organized crime, Eddie Winter. He was a bad man who did a lot of bad things, hurt a lot of innocent people. But he knew the end was coming, so he sealed himself inside a personal shelter, located underneath a sub-shop he used as a headquarters.
A sub shop of all places?
in a sub shop. Does a meatball monster show up at some point?
Yeah, from what I've heard, the pastrami golem is the one you really have to watch out for. Anyway, if you're done being a wise ass, the story gets even more twisted. The arrogant bastard wanted to cheat death, live forever, so he could come out of that shelter someday into this brave new world. Sound familiar? Only Eddie didn't want to be a frozen banana. No cryo sleep for him, no. He invested his money in some sick, crazy radiation experiment.
So he's probably a ghoul now.
You don't mean to tell me he used that radiation to...
That's right. Eddie Winter went and turned himself into a ghoul, 200 years before it was fashionable. Hell, he was probably the first one. And I'm convinced that he's still locked inside that shelter. Safe and sound. ready to come out and begin his evil reign all over again. I'm gonna find him and kill him, so that never happens. You in?
I don't know, Nick. Why do you want to do this? Because if he's been locked in the same room for 200 years, he's probably completely insane. Like, why not just let him rot?
I don't get it, Nick. Why kill Eddie Winter, even if he is still alive? This sounds like some kind of vendetta.
I've got memories of a girl. My girl. They're not really my memories, I know that. They're Nick's. But the girl, she was real. She was beautiful and innocent, and Winter killed her. Now he's got to pay the price. So, knowing that, you in?
All right, Nick.
Yes.
Let's get the bad guy.
Good. Now, I know where Winter's vault is, but the door is sealed with a complex numerical code. Lucky for us, Winter's arrogance knew no bounds. Back in the day, he recorded 10 holotapes, incriminating different criminal associates. On each one, he hit a single number. We find all of those holotapes, we get all the numbers. We get all the numbers, we get the code. And then we get Winter. I've been putting together a file on this one for a while now. There's a pair of holotapes in here worth listening to, including one of Winter's. I managed to snatch from the Cambridge Police Evidence lockup before getting swarmed by ferals. My gut tells me the Boston Police Evidence Terminals are the key to cracking this one. It's probably worth paying a visit to any of the departments you might have stumbled across.
Oh, Nick, I really want to help you. But memory serves, we have to pick those holotapes up. So we're going to at least try one or two of these police stations to see if Nick can pick the holotape up for us. If he can, I will relax my rule about letting companions loot for me, because I just really enjoy Nick's story and would jump at a chance to experience it one last time before Starfield comes out, and they probably don't play Fallout 4 for quite some time. That said, I'm not optimistic that we're going to be able to do this. Also, as much as I like Nick's story, his companion perk is a real stinker. So, really not worth the effort for gameplay purposes, but like I said, it's a great story. So we're going to try. In the meantime, with Sturgis on his way over to Covenant, we need to try and deal with Mama Murphy. We've tried all kinds of things. If you have forgotten, she really messed up Mary's face. Basically tortured Mary in an early episode. And Mary's been trying to get revenge ever since. And really, at this point, Mary would settle for an admission of guilt and an apology. But so far, we haven't even got that. We tried launching drugs at Mama Murphy's face with a pitching machine. That didn't do anything. We launched Mama Murphy herself, human cannonball style, out of a junk mortar. No luck there. We left her for weeks in a sleep deprivation chamber with lights and sounds and horns and the spinning saw blade trap and nothing. We even set up a contraption that basically dropped steel balls on her head at intervals for weeks on end. And those steel balls were like 15, 20 pounds. Like she should have been dead, or at the very least had a serious concussion. And nope, nothing. So now we try the Meat Palace, and she has been hanging out in here for probably a month or two, and can you imagine what this must smell like? I mean, Mary is kind of squeamish about slaughtering animals, but her rage kind of knew no bounds, and she was able to get over it enough to put all this dead flesh and dead fish from the river. And oh my god, this thing probably draws death claws and super mutants from miles around. So, yeah, Mama Murphy, are you ready to apologize?
Fuel for the site?
No, instead, you are asking for more frickin' drugs.
Some other time.
So, we are not going to indulge that. At least, not in the way that Mama Murphy is hoping for. So, we're going to do a little cut here. I am going to tear down the meat palace and show you what I've got in store for Mama Murphy next. It is very early in the morning in Sanctuary, and the sun is just starting to come over the horizon. And Mary has completed the latest of her attempts to get Mama Murphy to crack. In fact, she's so sure it's going to happen this time that she's called this one the Crack House, because Mama Murphy's spirit is going to break. We've got some cameras set up inside, and we'll show you the camera angles in a second. Meanwhile, outside, we're just reminding everyone that they should keep out, that it's crazy inside. There's a little bit of machinery out back to run some things inside, and let's go inside and just take a look at what Mary has in store for Mama Murphy. Because from the inside, there is no way to open that exterior door. Mama Murphy is locked in. And she's sitting in her chair, and she is looking at Drug Addict Christmas. All the drugs are here. We've got Med-X and Psycho and Mentats, and there's booze, and there's some Nuka Cola chasers. There's even, if you can just make it out over there, a lighter and a spoon so that she can cook up, along with some cigarettes. I mean, this, being able to look at this and just stare at this through this glass window and not be able to touch it has got to be just torture. And Mary's reminding Mama Murphy that, yeah, you want a hit, and Mama Murphy most definitely does. There's a little bit of double meaning on this one, though. You deserve this. Mama Murphy reads that with the eyes of an addict. Addicts always try to justify that they deserve the drugs, that they need the drugs, that if only life was better, they wouldn't deserve to have the drugs and get high. Meanwhile, Mary is writing this in a different perspective, in that she believes that Mama Murphy deserves to suffer. And suffer she does, because she could, if she wanted to, always come over here and open the door and go inside. But there is a problem, and Mary has demonstrated this for Mama Murphy, because the door stays open for 3 seconds. You might be able to run in and grab some stuff, but if you don't make it out in time, everything in the room is incinerated except for the drugs.
Look like a proper home, thanks to you.
You are insane talking about this looking like a proper home with that going on behind the window. So, yep, we are just going to let Mama Murphy sit and stare at those drugs until she is ready to admit what she did, and then maybe we'll give her that dose of Med-X that she's been asking for. In the meantime, you can just rot. For now, Mary has another task at hand, and that is she has a molecular relay to build to go recover her son. And so that is what we're going to go do right now. We're going to go over to Covenant, and we'll see you there. So I was doing some building at Covenant, working on putting a foundation down for the molecular relay, and ran out of steel. So I decided to take a run over to Bunker Hill and buy some shipments. But on the way, we went pretty much directly past the Bureau of Alcohol, Drugs, Tobacco, Firearms, and Lasers, otherwise known as the Bad TFL. And so I thought this would be an opportune time to have Nick try and pick up an Eddie Winters
Grab
holotape.
that.
And I've actually already tried this a couple of times, and no great surprise, he refuses to pick it up. And now he is looking in an invisible file cabinet. Fantastic, Nick. I am disappointed in you. You say that you want to get even for what Eddie Winter did, and yet you can't even be bothered to pick up a holotape. Actually, I am really disappointed just because I do so enjoy Nick's story, but it's also 10 holotapes to get when I'm trying to hurry up and get this run over with, because Starfield is either going to be out any day now or is already out. And although I am recording this in the end of July, it does mean that, yeah, I expect that my viewership will... Oh, hey, there's still regulars here. Where did you guys come from? Anyways, I expect my viewership to decline on Fallout content once Starfield comes out. And so, yep, we're just going to have to let Nick's companion perk remain locked. Which is fine. I've said before, it's a real dud, but I am bummed that we don't get to experience that story together. Anyway, I will try and get Curie back with me at the next earliest opportunity so that we can hopefully get her perk unlocked. Meanwhile, let's head on to Bunker Hill, and I will get back to you once I'm back in Covenant and building some more and just about ready with molecular relay. Well, this is just by far the worst molecular relay I have ever built.
Seems to be growing well.
I thought I could maybe get this thing to fit in here and look good, but as you can see, it has completely taken up the entirety of the space here at the Covenant Settlement. And I thought about like trying to make, you know, something kind of cool, you know, maybe a midway build, and I got started with making a big foundation and putting a fusion generator kind of in a basement, but I gave up. I have a deadline to meet, and I just decided, you know what, if people want to look at a cool molecular relay build, they can look at the other ones that I've done on my channel. So, that means that it is time to start this thing up, and I at least put everything on a separate switch. So, I have started up the main part, and now we'll start the antenna. I think the antenna is really cool. I am disappointed that, you know, after we're done with this thing, it's just wreckage.
Make sure it's all
There
on the
is a
same
mod
grid.
out there that lets
All
you
the parts have
build
got to
kind
be
of
able
a
to talk to
replica
each other,
one
you know.
that is still functional. So, everything is on the same powered network. Sturgis, are we ready to go?
Sturgis.
Everything looks good on my end. You ready to see if this thing actually works?
Can we test it first?
Test it first?
I wish we could, but we've only got the one frequency code. There's no way to test it without actually jacking into the Institute signal. And as soon as we do that, we've used our one and only chance. As soon as the Institute figures out what we did, and I gotta believe those brainiacs won't be caught napping twice, that code we've got is useless.
Okay, well,
Let's do this.
I guess I'm ready to go then.
Okay. Your part is simple. Just step onto the platform. I'll start scanning for an Institute signal to lock onto. Then, I fire her up, and we see what happens.
Scumbag in the
I always like doing this at night because
I'm ready when you are.
it just looks so much more dramatic. I also think that our character would probably choose to sneak into the Institute at night and,
Hey.
just to try and gain an advantage if they could.
Hey, Valentine.
Nick, you got anything to say before we go?
Freddy's tapes.
Still
We'll
searching.
say that we're still searching. It is your fault that we can't do it, Nick, since you won't pick them up, but we don't really have an option to say that. So, let's get on this thing and prepare ourselves for a very dramatic cut scheme.
I don't want any corruption of the molecular beam. Oh yeah, by the way, I figured this was a golden opportunity to find out as much as we can about the Institute and what they're up to. Yeah, this holotape's all set with a program that will scan their network and download anything it finds. Yeah, we better hurry. Don't worry about that tubing wiggling around. It's, just there for decoration. Okay. Scanning for the Institute signal. Tracking RF. And... got it. Hold on to your butt.
Holding on. I just had this picture of Mary appearing wild-eyed in the Institute with both hands firmly grabbing her own ass. Still, here we are, and it seems kind of deserted for, what is supposed to be the epicenter of all kinds of bad stuff. So, what is this terminal got to say? We could at least load that holotape that we were told to. So, alright, looks like some coursers that were either coming in or going out, but we're going to load the network scanner. And initiate the network scan. And we've got a holotape that we can give to Sturgis. Now what?
Hello.
Well, nothing to do now but follow
I wondered if you
the
might
disembodied
make it here.
voice.
You're quite resourceful. I am known as Father. The Institute is under my guidance. I know why you're here. I'd like to discuss things with you face to face. Please, step into the elevator.
Well, I will just as soon as you open it for me.
I can only imagine what you've heard, what you think of us. I'd like to show you
It's
that
not
you may have
good.
the wrong impression. Welcome to the Institute. This is the reality of the Institute. This place, these people, the work we do. For over 100 years, we've dedicated ourselves to humanity's survival. Decades of research, countless experiments and trials, a shared vision of how science can help shape the future. It has never been easy, and our actions are often misinterpreted by those above ground. Someday, perhaps,
It has always
show
been a
them
cool
what we've
reveal, that
accomplished.
first elevator ride into
But
the
for now,
Institute.
we must remain underground. There's too much at stake here to risk it all. As you've seen, things above are unstable. I'd like to talk to you about what we can do for everyone. But that can wait. You are here for a specific, very personal reason. You are here for your son.
You bet I am, and you better have him. And And he better not be 1,000,000 years old. Are you Sean?
Sean?
Huh? Yes, I'm Sean.
I've been looking for you.
I've been looking for you for so long.
Who are you?
I am your mother.
It's me. I'm your mom.
Father, what's going on? What's happening?
Well, your father was shot in the vault by this other jerk's minions.
Those
Bastards.
They killed your father.
What's going on? Father? Father!
Sean! Open the door!
I don't know you. Go away! Father! Father, help me! There's someone here! Help me!
You should calm down, Sean.
Sean, please. Calm down. I'll get you out of there.
Father? Father, help me! She's trying to take me! Father? Father, help me!
Sean. S923, recall code Cirrus.
Oh, you son of a bitch.
The child's responses were not at all what I anticipated. He's a prototype.
I mean, they seem pretty realistic to
We're
me.
only just now beginning to explore the effects of extreme emotional stimuli. Please try and keep an open mind.
I'm a little busy to defend Red Rocket Truck Stop.
And that your journey here has been fraught with challenges. Let's start anew. I am Father. Welcome to the Institute.
And what have you done with my son?
Give me Sean. The real Sean. Right now!
I know. I know. You've gone to such lengths to find him.
I'm just kind of trying to decide what would be most appropriate for Mary, and I think at this point, she's full of righteous anger.
Asshole. Now!
Under the circumstances, I will forgive your vulgarity. But I need you to realize
We'll get a lot more vulgar than that.
the situation is far more complicated than you could have imagined. You have traveled very far, and suffered a great deal to find your son. Well, your tenacity and dedication have been rewarded. It's good to finally meet you, after all this time. It's me. I am Sean. I am your son.
Well, that sucks, because we were robbed of the raising of Sean. And although parents and children can have great adult relationships, I feel lucky that I have a good relationship with my parents. This is bullshit, man.
Is it? After all the things you've seen and experienced in the Commonwealth? Think about it. In the vault, you had no concept of the passage of time. You were released from your pod and went searching for the son you'd lost. But then you learned that your son was no longer an infant, but a 10-year-old boy. You believed that 10 years had passed. Is it really so hard to accept that it was not 10, but 60 years? That is the reality, and here I am. Raised by the Institute, and now its leader.
The thing is, I think Mary hoped that the boy with Kellogg was not actually Sean, and that Sean was still an infant. It is hard to think of a weirder and yet more sad situation than a parent who is robbed of their child's childhood.
It
It wasn't right what they did.
It wasn't right what they did. Taking you from me like that.
To you, that would certainly seem true. But to the Institute, it made all the sense in the world. At that time, the year 2227, the Institute had made great strides in synth production. But it was never enough. Scientific curiosity and the goal of perfection drove them ever onward. What they wanted was the perfect machine. So they followed the best example thus far. The human being. Walking, talking, fully articulate, capable of anything.
I don't know. I feel like I could imagine better designs than humans. I mean, we fall over easily, we get old and die, we get fat and out of shape. Like, there's lots of things that are wrong with the human design.
Human
So, why
synths?
human synths?
Really?
Human-like synths. A great distinction. The Institute endeavored to create synthetic organics. The most logical starting point, of course, was human DNA. Plenty of that was available, of course. But it had all become corrupted. In this wasteland, radiation affected everyone. Even in their attempts to shield themselves from the world above, members of the Institute had been exposed. Another source was necessary. But then the Institute found me, after discovering records from Vault 111. An infant, frozen in time, protected from the radiation-induced mutations that had crept into every other human cell in the Commonwealth. I was exactly what they needed. And so it was my DNA that became the basis of the synthetic organics used to create every human-like synth you see today. I am their father. Through science, we are family. The synths, me, and you.
And so you've just been here this whole time while I was been on ice.
You've been down here the whole time?
I have. Yes. I know you must have questions. Please. Anything I can do to help you understand.
Kellogg.
Tell me why you sent Kellogg
He
after me.
worked for you?
Kellogg. He was an
I
institute.
guess I went after Kellogg. He didn't come after me.
It wasn't until I became director that I learned of all the things he'd done. What kind of man he was.
And yet
knew
you
the
used
man
him
was a
anyway.
psychopath, but you used him anyway?
Would you have preferred that I turned him loose on the Commonwealth? At least keeping him on a short leash kept the collateral damage to a minimum. The Institute took advantage of Kellogg's vicious nature. I will freely admit that. Institute technology prolonged his life, and his usefulness far beyond any normal human lifespan. He never failed the Institute, but his cruelty became more apparent with every completed objective. I won't lie. It's no coincidence your path crossed his. It seemed a fitting way to allow you, us, to have some amount of revenge. What else can I say to ease your mind?
I mean, you claim that you orchestrated that, but I'm not so sure. I think Mary did that all on her own. Anyways, your father got murdered. I don't
never
miss
got to see
him.
you
He was
grow
an
up.
abusive asshole, but
What
he
happened
would have
to
at
him
least had
was-
visitation after the
I've gone
divorce.
over the records of the incident, of course. It seems what happened to him was an unfortunate bit of collateral damage. For many years, I never questioned who my parents were. I accepted my situation, and that was that. With old age comes regret. And asking what if more often. But what matters now is that you and I have a chance to begin again. What else can I say to ease your mind?
But we can't really begin again. You are now old enough to be Mary's grandfather.
So, you're in charge of the Institute?
I am the acting director, yes. I spent decades working to reach this point. It's a responsibility I take very seriously. The Institute. It's important. It really is humanity's best hope for the future, no matter what those above ground might think of us.
But
why
Director? Why you?
I was the most qualified for the position, obviously. I've lived my life within these walls, dedicated to science like every other member of the Institute. My hard work has paid off. Ultimately, the Commonwealth has nothing to fear from us. Whatever you've seen or heard, I know I can convince you of that. Just give me time. I know there's more for us to discuss. But the Institute is on the verge of some important breakthroughs. Your presence would be appreciated as we approach them. I've been a part of
claim that the
something
Commonwealth has
amazing
nothing
here.
to fear.
I've helped to build a life for myself
And
and the people
yet,
of the
you
Institute.
snatch people in the night,
And now, after all these years, you have an opportunity to
massacred a
Doesn't that intrigue?
Commonwealth government that
Isn't
was
that what you
in the
want?
making. Still, I want access to the teleporter.
Maybe. I don't know. This is so much to take in.
I know, and I am sorry. You have been through so much in such a short time. The Institute can provide a better life than anything above ground. You've been in the Commonwealth. You've seen what it's like. I assure you that you are better off with us.
It's pretty crazy. We have to do an awful lot of farming.
How can you
But why are you
say
so
that?
dismissive of all those
How
people?
can you be so dismissive of all those people?
They work hard.
Everything they've done.
Because it is the simple truth. And I believe you know it too. I simply ask that you give the Institute, me, a chance. A chance to show you what I've been telling you. We really do have humanity's best interest at heart. Will you take that chance?
Are you sure you want
You
this?
sure you really...
Yes, I am. It would benefit us both to work
Okay.
together.
Fine. We'll at least see the place.
All right.
Hear him out.
Thank you. The Institute is now your home, as much as it is mine. Please take some time, get to know it. Meet the people you'll be working with. You'll want to introduce yourself to the division heads. Dr. Fillmore in Facilities, Dr. Ao in SRB, and Dr. Holdren in Bioscience. And finally, Dr. Lee in Advanced Systems. They've all been notified of your arrival, of course. Meet them, and then we'll discuss what comes next.
Okay, well, we have access to the Institute, and I'm going to meet with all those people, but I am not going to make you sit through those conversations. I am going to probably spend some time looking for some vendors, because if I remember correctly, there are some synth vendors here that will sell me synth armor, and I may also get some access to some new legendary weapons. So as soon as I find that person and we can start doing some bartering, we will do it. In the meantime, oh man, I really hate how abusive they are to these synths, because Mary is finally starting to come around to the idea that synths are intelligent and sentient, and There's an old quote from Optimus Prime. He's a Saturday morning cartoon, but it was something that I always thought was profound. Optimus Prime's motto was that freedom is the right of all sentient beings. So Mary is starting to come around to that way of thinking, and that means that, yeah, it is gonna be hard to stomach this place. Anyways, let's get started on meeting all these people. I will cut back to you once we find, like I said, that vendor that I'm looking for. We've completed the quest Institutionalized, and that is enough to have gotten us another level. And I think that that means that, yes, we are going to take a point of luck. We've got 1 rank of critical banker, and, you know, there's really nothing else in critical banker until you get to rank 3, and I just don't think that having 3 ranks of it is strictly necessary. So we are now set up to take Grim Reaper Sprint. Grim Reaper Sprint is not quite the god tier perk that it was in Fallout 3, where it automatically refills your action points every time, but it's still pretty darn good, especially if you get all of the ranks. Meantime, Mary is very perturbed because, first, the Institute has stolen her child and stolen her child's childhood. She was not given the opportunity to raise Sean, and given that she has had a traumatic experience with her ex-husband, it may be that Mary might never again have another kid. So it's very sad, and even though that is not Sean's fault, the fact that he has accepted it means that they are probably forever going to be estranged. When she spoke with the department heads, she was especially disturbed by Justin Ao of the Synth Retention Bureau, because he talked about synths escaping, and there's only kind of a couple ways that this can go as far as Mary can see. Either the synths are malfunctioning and escaping into the Commonwealth and causing problems, or the synths are in fact sentient and following through with their own desires. And, ooh, what's this?
This is the 3rd time in 2 weeks. This is unacceptable. How could this happen?
We think there was a system glitch. We're looking into it.
Advanced You're all useless. A new dark matter initiative soon. But in the meantime, tell the others to be on high alert. I want more patrols and more rounds.
Right away, sir.
If you see anything even remotely suspicious, report it immediately. This absolutely cannot happen again. Got it?
Yes, sir. Understood.
Alright, very vague. Anyways, so yeah, either the synths are malfunctioning, or they have sentience, they have desires, and that means that they are escaping slaves. In either case, it seems like whatever the Institute is up to probably needs to be stopped. So she will give Sean kind of one more chance to try and explain himself, one more chance to change her mind, but ultimately, as of right now, Mary is of the opinion that the Institute, despite their promises of being good for humanity, seems to either be creating a race of malfunctioning robots that are not performing as expected, or a race of sentients that are slaves in attempting to escape. In either case, that cannot be allowed to continue. In the short term, we have a vendor here. This is the vendor that I was looking for, and let me go ahead and just eat a little bit. Let's see here. Let's have some gourds for lunch. And oh, we're still hungry. Is that enough? Nope. Let's see. Oh, that's right, I have parasites. Takes more to get full. Anyways, we have this this vendor here, and I imagine the Institute probably is looking down their nose at Mary as far as she is bringing in a big pile of irradiated corn to trade, along with some hardcore drugs and some glue. And that is what she has brought in from the Wasteland as the valuable things from out there. You know, and you look around in this place and go like, wow, that is pretty lame. There are a few things that we can buy here. I am actually going to go ahead and take Experiment 18A. This is a plasma rifle that is essentially designed to be a machine gun. And Mary does not have any rapid-fire weapons. I'm interested to see if we can make that work with her. We also have some options here as far as some different clothing. Now, I think the clean room suit, endurance 2, like, who cares, right? Courser uniform is a long way from actual armor. The Institute Division head coat is not as good as a lab coat if you're looking for like an intelligence bump for turning in quests. Like, there's just not much to recommend any of these things except for these legendaries. And I am going to go ahead and take this synth chest piece. It is Chameleon, and although it is not as heavy duty as this one, the bolstering effect is kind of no good for Mary, where her DR goes up as her health goes down. When Mary is caught, Mary is dead. It's not 100%, but most of the time, yeah. If she has not got vast defense and not able to sneak away, then she's probably going to die. So this synth chest piece makes sense for us. Now, compared to the chest piece that we have now is Chameleon. So the extra sneak is nice. I've been wanting some sneak, but or a Chameleon piece, but we are going to have to give up the Black Ops chest piece, and that means we're giving up some carry weight. Not a big deal. Like, I can go down on the number of fusion cores that I'm lugging around, and it'll be alright. I hate to give up the endurance because we do lose some hit points, but back to what I was saying, if Mary's caught, she's dead. So better to take the chest piece and not get caught. The synth helmet is agility and perception. That's great for a sniper. And that is also going to mean, though, that we are going to have to be remembering to go back and put our destroyer's helmet on when we are doing bartering. And given the weight of destroyer's helmet, I may end up going back to the newsboy cap. Now, the right arm is increased action point refresh speed. And here again, it is not quite as good as what we're wearing, but it hasn't been improved yet. And where is my right arm? It was, yes, over here is right arm guard. So this reduces damage standing and not moving. That's nice, but I would rather have more action points and be in vast defense. Vast defense is more effective than this. So I think it's going to be a better choice for us. Yeah, we're going to buy this guy out of legendaries, with the exception of that chest piece. And it's expensive. Actually, do I have any booze on me? Any beer that would maybe give me some additional charisma or great mentats or anything to reduce this cost? Nope. That is a lot of melons that we had to pick to get all that stuff, but that's alright. For now, I am going to see if I can even carry this stuff without breaking my legs. So, yes, as long as I put on my chest piece, I can increase my carry weight by 10. But yeah, we are going to have to do something. We're starting to bump up against the limits of carry weight, even without picking anything up out of the wasteland. Father asked us to come back and say hello to him as soon as we met with all the division heads. So let's go say hello and see what's up. Oh, can we sleep in this bed? No. Okay. Hello, Father. It feels weird calling you that when you're actually my son.
Now that you've had a chance to see the Institute firsthand, what do you think?
It is deeply flawed.
If you expect me to be impressed by a lot of fancy sci-fi gizmos, you'd be wrong.
I see. It's not just about the gizmos, as you say. I hope you'll see that in time. Ultimately, all our knowledge and resources are focused on a single goal. The goal is best summarized by our motto: mankind, redefined. Unfortunately, no advancement comes without occasional setbacks. As remarkable as our synths are, they can be dangerous without proper supervision. The superior synth mind and body attempting to wrestle with something approaching free will can be a recipe for chaos.
Approaching free will. I don't know, man. I think you might have actually crossed that line. Nick certainly seems to be making decisions all on his own.
If the synths are intelligent and self-aware, then they have a right to free will.
However closely they may approximate human behavior, they are still our creations. When you see what I have to show you, I think you'll agree that we know what is best for our synths. A rogue synth has taken over the Raider gang at Libertalia. His memories have been erased, and his identity altered. He believes he's a man named Gabriel. Under his leadership, the Raiders have taken many innocent lives. I've dispatched a courser to Libertalia. I'd like you to join him and reclaim that synth.
I just realized that Mary's not wearing her bald suit. You know, I don't believe that you actually care about what that synth did. I think you just want your property back.
It would be safer just to kill it.
That would be a terrible waste of a valuable resource. If at all possible, that synth
What did I tell
should be
you?
returned alive. Now you should get moving.
See, now you used the word alive.
And a delay could cost lives.
Shouldn't you say functioning? You know, you say that the synths are your creations, and therefore you have the right to rule over them. So, since I gave birth to you, Sean, does that not mean that you are not my creation, and I have the right to rule over you? Or have you grown out of that parent-child relationship? Are synths now outgrowing that parent-child relationship and earning the right to live on their own? Alright, well, I am going to do your quest because it is, after all, essentially killing a raider. And Mary is very much a raider remover, as one of my comments on one of these episodes said. But we probably aren't going to try very hard to bring this person back to the Institute and back to slavery. So let's go and head out and see about this new fast travel that we can do, which is going to be great. Being able to fast travel to someplace just directly across the river from Hangman's Alley is going to be awfully convenient. So, okay, I thought that... Okay, maybe if I hit CIT ruins. Okay, this is what I think is going to get us outside the Institute.
Abstract, ideally.
Nick, do I look strange when I'm warping in? So, yeah, let's go pick Curie up, since we can't do Nick's companion quest, and see about getting down to the Libertalia. Well, I have made it back to Hangman's Alley, but I am over encumbered. I have new equipment to do some crafting with, and we need to pick up Curie as our companion. So that is a lot of stuff to do, and it's all going to have to wait until next week, because this episode's gotten quite long enough. So next week we're going to take a look at all of the goodies that we bought while we were in the Institute, and then we're going to take off for Libertalia and see about reclaiming the synth down there. If you're looking forward to that, be sure and subscribe. If you enjoyed this episode, please do hit the like button, and if you didn't like, please tell me why in a comment, because a dislike without context means that I don't know what it is that I should do to improve my content for you. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Nacho Bidness, and I'm saying it's a great big wasteland out there. Let's go have fun in it.